peek into what does, let's say you want to spend a little off-season-y versus getting in shape, just macronutrients, like are you a high carb guy, a high protein guy? Over the years, has it changed? Just in general, give us some generalities.
I don't like to, I've done, in the early days, I did all the diets that were around, and none of them seemed to work. I did the keto diet and cabbage diet, and all sorts of weird things. And but the one thing that I found, and I actually did this when I won the Britain, and oh, I can't even lift it.
Can't lift it now. No,
that's the trophy. I did intermittent fasting. Basically, I fasted for 16 hours a day and ate in an 8-hour window, every 2-hour meals. And I don't count calories. I don't like counting calories. I don't like looking at what carbs I'm having, what protein. I cut out sugar. I cut out bread. So anything like that. But I'll have more good fats. I'll make sure that I'm getting a decent amount of protein. That's it. That's my diet.
Yeah, I remember seeing you backstage at the British when you won the over 60s, and I went, "Oh my God, you look amazing! What you been doing? You actually looked bigger." I remember remarking to you, I said, "You look like a mini Mike Mentzer," because rear muscles were really full. Stood relaxed on stage, the fullness in his shoulders, the fullness in his legs, and he said, "I hadn't even been dieting," like really proudly. "I hadn't even dieted." So he was doing the intermittent fasting, but there was no sort of set structure to your eating plan. You just ate really, really well. I remember, because I wanted to know all the secrets. I was like, "Oh, what you been eating? How you been eating it?" No supplements, so to speak, or anything like that. And it looked amazing. Yeah, you did look amazing. You always do, mate. You always do look really good.
The thing is as well, is you haven't got to complicate things, and that's the same with the book. I don't overcomplicate it with different exercises, different routines, different number of sets. It's not complicated in the slightest, and that dieting shouldn't be like that. Should be like that as well. Don't complicate things, with macronutrients and just do what works for you. And
I'm the same. I don't count calories.
Wow. Wow, that's awesome, man. Thank you for that. It's awesome to know just that over the years your mentality has brought you to the point where you're so free. You don't follow a crowd. And a lot of the guys and girls that are watching this right now, I do want to share with y'all that you're staring at a few brothers right here that have been willing to go ahead and try something or do something without the influence or feeling peer pressure, in any way. These days with social media, it's different than when we were going at it in the 80s and the 90s. If you're a social media hound and you're on there all the time, getting involved, I know on my YouTube channel, separate from As Iron Sharpens Iron, that even in Iron Sharpens Iron, in the comments section to this video, you're going to see some people that their life is social media and it affects them and they're willing to argue about, right?
Yeah, you can tell by the questions you'll get from them. You can tell by the questions that they're not. You see, the proof is in the pudding, really. You've got to give it a go. You've got to try it to understand whether it'll work or not. And people are not willing to give it a go. Right. And you'd be surprised how much it will work when you've got pressures of normal life on you, a job and everything else. The recovery and everything else is the key. Now, one more point. Sorry to jump in there, John, but one more point to your diet there, Russ, because a lot of people will ask. When you did your intermittent fasting and you started eating, and you had your window of your eating, was it the same meals each time? Did you just do cut and paste your meals so there was exactly the same breakfast, same lunch, or tea or whatever it is, same supper?
Yeah, the breakfast is always the same. We have the same every morning, even now, and we still do the intermittent fasting to this day. So breakfast is always the same. 2 hours later, I might have a couple of rice cakes with peanut butter on. Then a couple of hours later, I'll have a main meal, which could be tuna, rice.
Meal of the day, yeah.
Yeah, drizzled with oil, turmeric, just to spice things up and that. And then 2 hours after that, I could have some, again, peanut butter and rice cakes, or just something just to fill that in. And then
very simple.
Yeah, and then for tea we could have fish with rice or chicken or something, and with veg, and simple small meals.
Just good meals.
And that keeps your metabolism going all day long, and you never feel hungry. In fact, we're talking about 6 meals, small meals a day there. When I get to the last meal, I'm fed up with eating. It's really strange.
So when do you start your breakfast? If you've gone like 16 hours of like your fasting, is your breakfast maybe about lunchtime-ish?
No, breakfast for us is 10 in the
10
morning.
o'clock. Because you finish later eating, I get you, yeah.
And finish at 6 o'clock in the evening, and that's it. Don't eat anything. We never eat anything 4 hours before we go to bed. We usually go to bed around about 10 o'clock. So we stop eating 4 hours before then.
Right.
So are you eating all year round this way, or is it cyclical in nature? Is it just your lifestyle now?
It's the lifestyle now to do the intermittent fasting, but I'm not eating every 2 hours, for example. This morning we had breakfast at 10. We managed to get to the gym. I had a couple of eggs with a banana after training, and that. I've had some cheese. I've had a couple of slices of cheese. It's all over the place at the moment. That's all I've eaten. Some days I could eat maybe 3,000 calories. Another day I might only eat 1,500 calories. But it all averages itself out.
Over
some
the week
days
and over the month. Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. And that's the other thing, isn't it? About it does average itself out, and you've got to be consistent with. If you're consistently eating more calories than you're expending, then you're going to start putting weight on, and stored weight as well in the form of fat. But if you're eating 1,000 calories one day, 7,000 calories another day, 4,000 calories another day, 1,000 calories, and over a period of a week, let's say, it all will average itself out to say 2,500, 3,000 calories, which is ideal for you. And you're not going to go up and down. You're just going to stop at the same way.
Some days you want to eat more, and some days you don't. Right, I'm the same with that. I have like what I call like a baseline, and I eat to my baseline, but because I used to count calories for myself and count calories for clients, and I mentioned this before on a podcast. Whereas if I kept calories for everybody, and then I would notice that would happen, the calories would be all over the place. But if you filled it into a month, they would be very close, within a couple of hundred over each month. People gain weight because of the activity they're not doing, because they start to slow down as they get older. They've been going, to a circuit training class, they've been walking, they've been golfing, and they start to do less and less, but the calories are staying the same. So they start to lose muscle, and that makes them gain body fat. But yeah, then I noticed that, people have like what I used to call an appetite balance over a year. If you worked out the calories over 12 months, it would be nearly the same. So, it's ins and outs and everywhere. But if I think like what you do is if you're eating just like a good eating plan where you're not eating rubbish, but yet the catalyst to everything, and I say this all the time, the catalyst to everything, if you're training like balls to the wall and training really hard, i.e. high intensity training, and you're keeping your food just even keeled, not giving it great deal of thought, like Harvey Jones used to say, and then, you don't have to like be counting every bloody gram of everything. You'd be surprised how much your body will change if your training's right, if you're progressive with your training, if you're keeping detailed notes with your training, if you're like improving in strength and intensity, you will change. I've seen people change dramatically on this type of routine, eating a shit diet, eating a terrible diet, but yet they've changed, lost body fat and gained muscle because the body is demanded to do so much.
That's it. I mean, you change your mindset. Say you're going for a competition, or you're going on holiday, and you're using this exercise routine. You change your gear. You up your gear. You're spending less time resting in between sets. You're recording everything, and you're pushing yourself really hard. and you're eating every 2 hours, nothing special, nothing out of the ordinary. You've got to change. Your body will change. You know, you've changed your mindset for a start, and you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you can see yourself changing, and that eggs you on as well. I think that's why they've got mirrors in the gyms, because you look at yourself in the mirror, you can see things in the mirror that other people can't see, and that spurs you on. And that's what I like about training. You know, John, you're standing there in front of the mirror when you've just done a set or something. You look, I'm looking good, and that keeps you going, doesn't it?
That keeps you going, yeah, absolutely.
It does.
Hey, man, the thing that I want to share with you guys is that now that I've been doing these all body routines, sweet Jesus, man. I mean, those days when I train, you want to talk about an appetite? Oh my gosh, it takes me about 3 hours into it afterwards. I've already eaten after I train. And man, 3, 4, 5 hours later, if I'm not on point, getting some food in me, whoa, it's like a fire going, burning calories on me that day of training. Do you guys find that to be similar with yourself, that those end up being higher calorie days?
Oh, absolutely. I always say that you know your training's going well if your appetite's good. You know you're growing if your body's demanding that you eat, and it'll crave the right foods as well. It'll give you carbs. It'll give you more carbs. And I know I'm a massive carb freak, really. I eat a lot of carbs because I feel that training demands it. And you know, I've tried the higher proteins, like Russel says. I've tried the higher proteins, lower carbs. I just waste away to nothing. You know, you know, that's the first thing I eat. My protein content is way down. I would have more breads, more rice, more potatoes, more fruit, more oats and things than anything else. That makes up 60% at least of my diet.
I totally agree with you, Ian. Yeah, you've got to keep your carbohydrate levels up, otherwise you're going to lose your strength as well. And you're not going to feel your best. You're not going to be able to work out. You're not going to have that intensity in your workout, that you should have to make that progress.
So tell us, Russel, one final question on my end. I don't know how many Ian has left, but what's the future hold, man? You're 63. You just won in the last year and a half, you won the over 60 Mr. Britain, natural Mr. Britain. You're an example right now. You've achieved some big titles. You've won some. You've competed for 40 years on and off. And so what's the future hold? Do you know? What's next?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's funny that I always say it took me 40 years to win the British Championships. And I know I'm proud of myself for doing that. It was an achievement. But one of the biggest achievements was this thing here. This is the trophy that I won for Mr. Doncaster in 1988. Yes, I've still got it. It's a bit worse for wear at the moment.
That's get a bit wobbly, don't they?
That's my hand. That's 19. That's a few years. That's over 30 years ago, and I was really proud of that time because, like you identified there, John, I kept going back year after year after year, and finally I actually won it with that mentality. And after actually changing to this high intensity way of training as well, and getting on that stage, and there was actually 17 other guys in the lineup. And I'm pretty sure that some of them had been taking gear as well. And I remember a good friend of mine, and I met up with him recently. He's come to the gym where I train. I've not seen him for years. And I can remember looking down the lineup when they called out my name as the winner, looking down the lineup, and he stood at the end just shaking his head like this. He just couldn't believe it. You know, the transformation that I'd made in a year. And that was probably one of the best moments, along with this, to win after 40 years the British Championships. But to where I go from now, I qualify. Well, I've won the over 40s area, I've won the over 50s area, I've won the over 60s area, and that coming back to this one as well. This one was quite an achievement because I actually did something really strange. Before going to the Britain and winning the title, I actually entered the over, is it over or under 70 kilogram class? Yeah, under 70s.
I remember this.
To qualify. Now, I was up against guys that were half my age, it's still in the 30s. And I beat them to qualify for the Britain finals. I could have gone in the over 60s and qualified, but I wanted a challenge. And that was my challenge.
I remember that. Yeah, it was a good win as well. You looked brilliant as well in that.
So I'm quite proud of that one as well, to say that I qualified for the finals, beating guys that were half my age.
So you qualified. So at this point going forward, is there a contest in sight? Do you have something in sight, or is it going to be, I'm enjoying my training for a while. Maybe Karen is going up next. Who knows? What's happening?
Yeah, no, I'm not interested in competing. If they're going to have an over 70s category when I get to 70, I'll be there.
I think that's great.
That's what
great
I'm
idea.
talking about.
But
Ian,
other than that,
Ian, do you have any more questions for our friend Russell?
Yeah, just a little bit, buddy. Yeah. Now, like obviously you've trained this high intensity style, and now I've just got like a little bit of a theory with this. Now I know that as your physique goes, that your legs are outstanding, and I noticed when I was doing the all body HIIT training, when I've done that, my legs improved the most. And I don't know. It's just a little bit of a theory of mine with HIIT guys, the guys who train on HIIT and do all body or even split routines. They've all got good legs, yourself included, John. There, very, very good legs. Now I remember you coming to my gym just to doing a little bit of posing, and your legs looking phenomenal, And I thought, yeah, this HIIT stuff really does stress your legs. So as far as body parts go, do you think the all body programs where you're hitting them like 3 days a week? I know your body's been or 3 or 2. Or whatever you do, or whether you split it up a little bit further, do you feel that those areas, like your legs, because they're getting a little bit more stimulation, but only little bits at a time, do you think that that's a valid point there, really?
I don't know how that works. I just went along with it, and I don't always, as well, at my time in life now at 63, I don't always do legs 3 times a week. I will do them. Say if I'm training Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I will train them on Monday. I'll see what I feel like on Wednesday.
As in recovery. You see, that's brought out a really good point for us at your age. That's brilliant because you're thinking about recovery there each time. But I noted that obviously with doing legs, that's the most my legs ever grew. And I went from having average pins competing to having really good pins when I was competing. And I think that was because of doing the HIIT stuff anyway, and I thought that they came on the most doing that. And I noticed everybody who does HIIT has got good legs. So whether it's because it's the intensity that you're working at, does it make him improve more? That was just a little question, just a little theory I had.
The other thing, sorry, John, if I can just jump in there. The other thing is that I don't know what you guys think about this, but I go with the theory that, once you've trained, you've got to give your muscle time to recover, as everybody knows. Now, you've got to give it, in my book anyway, at least 48 hours to recover before you're training it again. Yeah.
Right.
And if you leave it longer than 72 hours, the muscle then will start to
decondition a bit.
Yeah. A bit like the muscle is the body's defense barrier. It only needs to be as big as to withstand the bombardment that's placed upon it. A bit like a seawall, only needs to be as big as the sea lashing against it. And if the sea's calm, that wall can come down, and it will come down. If the sea is bashing a lot higher, the wall needs to be higher. So
good analogy. I love that. Very good.
So if you leave your muscle for longer than 76 hours, the muscle's going to go, okay, I'm not having to withstand that amount of bombardment anymore. I'll start to go back to my normal size, if you like. So, but you've still got to give it time to recover at the same time. So if you're training every other day, if you're training every day, for example, it's not just one single muscle, though. It's your whole body that's got to recover as well. You could train legs on a Monday and then come into the gym on Tuesday and do your back, but your whole body hasn't recovered. You've got to give your whole body 48 hours to recover before you're back in the gym again. Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what you think about that, guys, but I think that, Ian, you could quite possibly hit the nail on the head there, because what we're doing now is we're training on a Monday, for example, Wednesday and a Friday. We're giving the legs enough time to recover, but we're not giving them more time so that they shrink down, because normally guys that are training in a split routine way or whatever, they might do legs on a Monday. When are they going to do legs again?
Legs again, yeah. So I
Maybe
think
the
it
following
just
week.
body, I think it's giving your body, when you train as a whole, it recovers as a whole. And I think that's where you get your gains from, because you're recovering as a whole. When you're doing a split routine, look, there's nothing wrong with them. All it does is just spread out the body parts being worked. So you might work your chest on a Monday, and you might do close grip benching or dips for triceps. So it gets a little bit of stimulation later on in the week. And sometimes that can keep you still progressing. But as far as like getting gains and really changing your body, I don't think there's anything better than this. And if somebody came to me, and I've said this to John many times, somebody came to me and said, look, Ian, I want to gain as much muscle as possible. I want to change my body composition massively. Without a shadow of a doubt, I would put them on an all body HIIT routine without a shadow of a doubt. Because there's so many things you can keep track of. The one set each exercise allows you to keep progression going, without there being tons to try and concentrate on. So you've only got like 10 exercises or 12 exercises you can keep a track on, and then you can progress them in strength, and you can see that things are happening. You can increase the speed between the exercises and so on and so on. The simpler you have the program, the easier it is to make gains on it, really, I think.
There's one thing that I wanted to mention earlier on as well about doing the 1 rep maximum. You just hit upon you mentioned it again there, in the 1 rep maximum. Some people might think, well, how are you going to do that when you're doing squats, for example? You're going to put a load of weight on the bar, and you're going to go down to see whether or not you can get back up for 1 rep. Or, isn't that a bit dangerous? Yeah. I always thought that, I'm not going to be, especially if you're getting older in years, to put a load of weight on the rack, and then you're actually, you could cause yourself an injury. There is actually in the book a formula that I managed to find somewhere years and years ago that you will put a weight on. For example, if you're doing squats, you'll put a weight on the bar that you can easily handle, and you'll rep out nice and steady, nice and slow, under strict control. You might get 12 reps out of it. Yeah, happy with that. There's a formula in the book that then you can use that will work out what would be your 1 rep max for that exercise.
Then you can tweak your rep ranges then from there. It's not hard. People might think, oh, I can't be. Honestly, there's so much. Once one start's done, it's done, because the rest of the program is so easy to follow, and it's not hard to sort out. I think it's a great way of training. I think it's very, very good, especially like John said, where you're getting different body parts after you do a couple of weeks of basics, and then you start giving it a bit of a body part workouts, and then you get a week off, and then you keep going again. You can look back and see where you've come from, 30 weeks ago. You can see how far you've come each time you do the programs. Progression, which keeps everything moving nicely.
That's right. And on those weeks where you're doing a specialization, say you're doing your legs, you will find that you're not doing your back that week. So you're giving your back a good rest directly.
Everything else has like a bit of a tweak down, dial down a little bit into it. Yeah.
The other thing, if we go back, Ian, when you were asking about warm-ups, I don't think we went far enough in that. The warm-up that I used is 5 minutes on the stepper or treadmill, for example, for the legs, and then we're in doing isolation exercises before we do the compound exercises. But you get right towards the end of the routine where you don't need a warm-up. You say, so you're doing bicep curls with a bar, for example. You've already done your back. Your back uses your biceps.
Everything else up.
Everything warms that up, so you don't need a warm up for your biceps or your triceps, because you've done your chest, you've done your back, so you don't need a warm up for them.
The way that the program's structured is that every exercise progresses on to the next and warms you up for the next one. If you've got pullovers and low pulley rows, well, obviously then you're going to get your biceps warmed up, like you said. So they're not just randomly like thrown together, these programs. They are put in a certain way to make the muscle, the body work the hardest and get every exercise get its utmost of work. Really, brilliant, brilliant.
And the way that I've designed it as well is that each exercise, in the main anyway, you may find that going through some of these weeks, it's not true in some of the cases, but there's always a pushing followed by a pulling exercise. I don't actually explain that in the book, John, but you know that's how it's structured. So it'll be bench press followed by lat pull downs.
Right.
You know, shoulder press followed by bicep curls, whatever. So it's a pushing and a pulling.
Antagonistic muscle groups, because that aids recovery as well in between the sets. So you're getting, so it actually, you know, one exercise recovers the next, and so on all the way through. Like I say, it's put together very, very well. You know,
I would agree with Ian, Russell, that you put it together quite well. I did see that. I did notice that because when I saw the routines, I'm envisioning myself doing the routines. So as I'm thinking about how's it going to work, if I see a routine in men, we have, you know, a bench press followed by an overhead press. I'm like, right away, I'm going, man, I need some help right there. Yeah, it's going to be trouble, right? So to give you the one, I was going to drop this on you, Ian. You mentioned about higher intensity guys having generally better legs. Okay. I did have one point to make on that I have noticed, and that is the nature of the effort that we give on the legs is quite different than, ready for this, than hiking, biking, treadmill, elliptical, running. It's quite different. Okay. It is a sprint of a nature, right? With that force.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But the answer now becomes this: compare us to the higher volume, not training to failure, true failure guys. Now you're going to find that their effort is not quite the same at the end of a set. We're making a demand on our legs much higher than anything else in our lives during the course of our week. And so, as Russell pointed out, you know, our body reacts to, you know, it's life and death. It's survival or don't survive. It's, I need to build up that seawall a certain height. And the bigger demand we put on it, the bigger the wall is going to be. And so I would go so far as to say that, in fact, if I study you, Ian, I've seen you in your workout doing those negative accentuated leg press or hack squat in the middle of your workout, where I've seen the video where you're doing negatives on those, one leg at a time on the way down, two legs on the way up, one leg on the way down. That's so severe, and it's so far beyond intensity-wise anything that anybody in the gym is doing 3 sets of 10 or 3 sets of 15. It's not the same.
You can't do any more than one set when you do that. And that's brought me to probably maybe last question for Russ there. Now, because obviously you mentioned they're doing like, you know, set add-ons, intensity add-ons. Do you do any of those, Russ? Do you sometimes add in a negative or force reps or anything like that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, definitely.
Have you any structure to those as well?
No, there isn't any structure to them. I normally do them off season, which is most of the year round anyway. And if I feel that I need a bit of a change, you know, I need a bit. I'm at the point now where I'm doing lat pull downs, for example. And me and Karen trained this morning, and I'm stuck on a particular weight. I'm stuck at a particular rep, and I cannot get past 9 reps on it. So the way that I'll get round that to try and increase the weight or increase the reps is that I will then do a drop set and just keep on going to try and catapult myself past that sticking point.
The intensity a little bit in that movement to sort of create an adaptation. So one week you will come to that pull down and you'll get 10 or 11 reps.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Russell, I appreciate you so much. I'm holding this book up here on purpose right now for all of y'all who have not seen it.
Get it.
And earlier in the video, adaptive resistance training. This program, y'all want to get a hold of this. It's a short read. It's a short book. I mean, I'm counting 48 pages beginning to end, and it's a well thought out. This is what I'm appreciating so much about Russell. It's well thought out. And Ian and I both agree, both of us, between the two of us, 80 plus years of training ourselves and others. So we recognize great programs when we see it. And this is a great program. I know we're pushing your book quite a bit, but it's the right thing to do, because those who need this kind of help will greatly appreciate it. It's well worth the few dollars that it costs. It's not a big deal. And so I do appreciate you, Russell. I'm thrilled to have you as a guest on the channel. I know that the viewer is going to love it too. So thank you so much from my heart to you on my end. I do appreciate you so much. Ian, if you have anything you want to say, please.
Yeah, I've got the book in you know, e-form. I've also seen the very first, and I've still got the very first originals what Russ did way back. Now what he's done with this book, and you've got to get it in paper form, you've got to get it in hardback form like that, is because the program's there for you. You've got everything to fill in, and it's also showed you how to fill it in and everything. So you've got actually not just a book in front of you, you've got a little journal, so you can keep your journal. So you've got something to follow each week and take to the gym with you. In fact, it'd be worth you buying 2 or 3 of them, because then you've got them for weeks and weeks and weeks. For the price they are, unbelievable. And I would have said to Russ, you need to be charging double that myself. But yeah, I would have said
I'm not in it to make money.
No, you're not.
No way.
Not.
You know, Ian, as well, and I think it was you that said that I should get this published. Remember, all those years ago.
Yeah.
How long have I actually? I cannot remember how long it is since I started writing this book.
I've got the original down here, which you gave to me probably 10 years ago, 8 to 10 years ago, I would say.
That's it. I've been sitting on this and building it up and creating it probably for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, it's not. I've just not done this overnight.
Yeah. Because you've kept, obviously, you've kept your journals all the way through. And that basically is your journals, what you've been doing training wise. And you know, when people see the pictures of you on the screen when they pop up, they'll be shocked. And you're completely natural, completely 100% natural. None of the H.I.T or anything like that. You know, TRT or H.I.T. You are going to be on that, mate, are you? You know, none of the testosterone replacement or anything like that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Each to their own. But you've obviously got a really good physique, even at you know the age you are now. You still look awesome. So you know,
I'm sorry, excuse me, Ian, for interrupting you. Is there anything, Russell, that you are you training people? Are you available online, personally, in person? Are you, besides the book, is there anything else that we can let the viewers know you're available for? I noticed you mentioned neuro-linguistic programming. Is there anything else you want to mention before we sign out?
Yeah. Well, one thing that I wrote down as I was listening to Ian there, that the thing about this doing one set is that you can put all your effort into one set. You're not pacing yourself. Like I've seen many other trainers do over the years. They'll do, if they're doing multiple sets, they'll pace themselves. But as they're pacing themselves, they're actually working the muscle, and the muscle's becoming weaker. You know, and with this one set, you go 100% all out, because you ain't got another chance. That's it. You've got one set to get it right. Now get it right. If you're going for 9 reps, get 9 reps. Go all out. You've only got 30 seconds to a minute to do this, and you put everything into it, and you're going to get everything out of it. Then that was the thing about that. The neuro-linguistic programming. In 1987, we'll go back to 1987 again, when I started training the high intensity way at Brian Taylor's gym here in Doncaster. They had a box, a wooden box that they'd used for bent over rows or something like that, so that the plates wouldn't hit the ground and they could get a good bend on it. At the end of every workout, I actually stood on that box and imagined that I was being presented with a first place trophy the following year.
Awesome. Brilliant.
And through my head, and I visualized it. And this is what NLP, this is part of NLP, visualizing, you know, your already goal that you've set yourself, that you've already achieved it, that you're there already. You know, people would say to me leading up to the competition, how do you think you're going to do? And I'll say, I've won it.
Mm.
Well, you're a bit cocky, aren't you? You know, how do you know you're going to, you don't know who's going to turn up on the day. How do you know you've won it? I go, I'm going to turn up on the day. I've won it. I can remember going back to work after winning the Mr. Doncaster on the Monday morning, and they said to me, well, go on then. How did you do? I said, I told you weeks ago, I won it. And this wasn't being cocky. This was about, I believed in myself. I believed in what I could achieve. And I went for it. And this is the thing. If you do not believe that this will work, then you're probably right. If you believe it will work, you're right again. It will work. Of course it will work. And I'm living proof that it does work. Yeah. And so NLP has been a big part. And I've studied neuro-linguistic programming for over 20 years now. I've been to see Tony Robbins, who's, I don't know if you know Tony Robbins, John. And I've done the Firewalker and all that lot, and I've got his books, and and there's a great book that I've got as well called Mind Games, and that's about sports people, and sports people talk about how they visualize. You know, runners will visualize over and over again running the track. You know, getting past that winning place. You know, and getting the gold medal. They'll visualize it. And I did this in 1987, but I didn't actually realize what I was doing at the time, you know, until I was introduced to NLP. And I thought, that's what I did in 1987. That helped me to win the Mr. Doncaster. And if I can do that again now, and I think that's what, as well, it lets us down that we don't believe that we can achieve what we set out to achieve. And by believing in yourself, then visualizing it and acting as though you've already achieved it. I mean, I now, as you can see, I've got a drum kit here now. I'm learning how to play the drums. I never stop learning. I'm always learning to do different things. Well, I'm learning to play the drums.
Russ, you're a fantastic photographer. You've done some awesome photos of me in your time. Like you've done, you know, obviously you take photo shoots of people. You've obviously learned to play drums. You've done many other things. You help obviously with the videos, the MPA. You've had many jobs, like really up there jobs, haven't you? Like police and prison, you know, working in prison and a few other things. Obviously being in Navy and RAF. So you know those things aren't just easy to get into. Obviously your mind power has allowed you to, you know, be who you are today. And what you do today, you know, there's not many people at your age, like retired like yourself now, and living life and loving life.
Yeah, and I don't know where that comes from. Well, whether or not that's from my mum or my dad, that mentality. I mean, it took me 5 attempts, and I wasn't going to give in until I achieved it. Applying for the police service, and on the 5th time, which was the last time that I could apply, I managed to get in. I've been in the Navy, the RAF. I did 3 years in the Territorial Army doing a reservist duty as well. So I got all 3 military uniforms time. Police service, did prison service. There's not a lot I haven't done. I've converted lofts in houses into, you know, attics, into bedrooms. Just converted the kitchen, ripped that out last year, and from a bare shell, then rebuilt it in 3 months. I just have a belief that if it's there, if other people can do it, you can do it too.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I've noticed that with you over all these years. You've always impressed me about when you set your mind to do something, you do it.
Yeah, and that's the same with the drums.
So Russell, do you work with people at all? Like if anybody would want to gain any extra benefit of working with you, I mean, privately, do you do consultations with people at all at this point, or are you open to that? How would anybody get a hold of you if you are?
Yeah, I have done in the past, but I tend to value my time now, and it's very difficult because of the way that I am. My mindset. I'm very I push myself a lot. I'm harder on myself. I mean, a lot of people say, you know, you're a hard man. No, I'm harder on me than I am on anybody else. But to find people that are actually committed like I'm committed, it's very hard to find. And I don't like to give people false hopes. You know, if they want me to train them, I'll train them. You know, you got to watch out though, because I'm not taking any prisoners. You know,
Yes.
I'm going to train you. I'm going to get you to where you want to go. You've got to be honest with me though. You've got to tell me that that's where you do want to go, really.
Right.
You know, because I'm not going to mess about. And to find a client that's willing to do that, few and far between. But I do say with the book as well, there is a link in the current book that I've got now to my YouTube channel, where because it does say in the book, and it maybe it says in the book that you've got there, John, because I've just recently changed it, that if somebody wants to know how to do the exercises, then they can find resources online. YouTube, I've actually created an exercise catalog where I've gone into the gym and done the exercises, and they're on YouTube now, so people can look through the book and go, what exercise is that? Right, I'll go onto the YouTube channel and see how it's done.
Your Instagram's good as well. Your Instagram's good. Well, you put odd bits on there, and that's always really good to see. So, you know, obviously people could follow you on there as well, which I think.
Yeah, we'll put all the links for Russell, all of them, in the video description to this video, so you all know to go check it out down below, to get Russell's YouTube. His Instagram is doing great, and also I'll put up a link, maybe at least on the American Amazon, of where to find his book as well. So that's for sure.
That's
for
it.
sure.
Just
is there anything else, Ian, you would like to get across?
Just brilliant. What a brilliant first interview there. Absolutely brilliant. Such an interesting guy. So much about him. Just awesome. I'll be buzzing rest of the day now. Absolutely buzzing. Yeah, because he's always love speaking to you, Russ. Always do. You always lift people really, really well. I'm well impressed with you, buddy.
Cheers, Ian.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Russell. I do.
John, before we go, this isn't about me and about this book. It's about, if you want to do some weight training and you want something structured, then get the book, you know, have a read through and chuff in. Stick at it for 10 weeks. Don't give it a week. You've got to go through the whole thing for 10 weeks, and then you will notice difference. You know, it's structured approach to weight training. It's not about me. I'm not, you know, it's cheap as chips, this book. So I'm not making any money. I don't want to be a millionaire. No, I'm happy with life as it is. You know, it's my experience. It's what I've done. I tell people a bit of story about myself, and then we get into working out
what to do. You're basically telling people, look, this is a structured approach, give it a go. That's commendable, mate. Well done.
And if it helps people, I'm happy. That's it.
I'm gonna tell you right now, Russell, and Ian, if you don't mind, I'll do the close. Russell, you most definitely will be helping people. That's goes without saying. Okay. And I appreciate your humbleness and pointing out that it isn't about you. I think we've gathered that in this interview alone, that it isn't about you, but that you've stumbled into something early in life that pretty much you were meant to do. And we're benefiting from that. It's not just, viewers that are beginners who are out there, or perhaps people who are in the middle of their training careers, but Ian, myself, we benefit from this as well. And my partner, Ian, I want to thank you for joining me in this Iron Sharpens Iron podcast again. I know that Russell, this was Ian's pick, by the way. Russell, you were Ian's pick. We discussed who to get as our first guest. And right away, I took a look at you. I already knew who he was talking about. I was already following you on Instagram. I gave it a quick yes because I already knew. And so I want to let the viewers know this man right here. Go on out, find the links down below in our video description to this video. Russell, thank you so much for your time, your wisdom, sharing it with us and with our subscribers. It's going to be a big hit. And listen, you guys, before we go, you want to go ahead and find Russell. I'll put his email, his contact information down below. If you do have any serious only inquiries. If you didn't get the gist of that, sounds like it's serious only, okay? And look, before we go, off to my left, you're going to see a tab pop up right there. That's going to be a subscribe button for our channel. Please give that thing a tap. Let YouTube know how much you're loving our videos. And down below and off to your left, you're going to see a thumbs up button. Go give that thing a tap and turn it blue if you're on the phone, or just hit it and turn it black if you're on the laptop, and let them know how much you're digging our videos so that YouTube will promote it even more. From our hearts to you, John Hart and Ian Duckett signing off as iron sharpens iron. We will see you all soon.